and welcome to the second of 2 bonus episodes. This week it's blankets. I've had a lot of requests to show all the blankets that are under construction in various incarnations. Some of them are scrappy, some of them are not. So yes, prepare yourselves, we're about to go and look at blankets. I don't really know where to start. I'm going to apologise for the light. We've been out this morning doing something and it's now about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and the sun is coming directly through this window, so I've got the blinds shut and consequently the light's not very flattering. Never mind. Nor is it very good to see. Oh, that's good. I left a hook in there. This is what's known as, I'm just going to get started, okay? Sorry, I should have led up to that a little bit, but I didn't. This is what's known as my fake Battenburg blanket, because I very much wanted the Battenburg blanket, which I think is by Sandra Paul of the Cherry Heart podcast. But I thought I would have to sew all the tiny squares together. I've since learned that you don't have to sew them together. You can join as you go. But it was too late. I'd already started this. This is a tiny corner to corner. And really, I got this far and kind of got fed up with doing, I suppose it takes about 5 minutes each little tiny square. And I just got fed up with all the ends, and it very nearly got frogged. But every time I think, do you know what, I'm just going to get rid of that. I get it out and then I go, oh, but it's so pretty. So I don't frog it, and neither do I get on with it. So this is kind of, it's counted as a whip, although it's not been worked on probably for about 18 months, I don't think. But I'm counting it as a whip because I don't intend to pull it down. I will get back to it. Next year, I'm intending to be my year of blankets. And so I'm going to start working through them because there are some new ones that I'd like to make, but I can't really cast on any more blankets because there is a ridiculous amount already. And the reason I was saying, oh good, I did leave the hook in there, is I've got a habit of starting things and taking the hook out for something else, and then I don't remember what size hook I've used. It's a 3mm, should anybody care. That's the fake Battenburg, otherwise known as the mini corner to corner. And I have a bag these are all scraps that are collected to go into it, because I think I worked out it takes about 1.5 grams per square, and these are all little tiny bits that are too small for any of my other scrap blankets. So the plan was that they would go into this one. When I finished with this one, and I don't know quite how big it's going to be, because as I said, it's really pretty, I really like it, but I do find the making of it to be a bit tedious. So any of these that don't get used in the blanket, I'm planning to make a giant magic knot ball and use them for just a granny stripe blanket. So that's one. What shall we look at next? Let's look in here. This isn't actually a blanket at the moment. It was, but I pulled it down. It was a habitation throw and I got into a mess with it. I'd missed some eyelets, sorry. I must stop calling them holes, because a hole isn't meant to be there, but an eyelet is. And I just got into a bit of a muddle, so I pulled it down. But this, I'm going to try and show you. is all yarn that's been dyed by my friends. I don't know, I'm not really showing it off very well. In here are two, well, there's more than two. These two are what was left from Amanda from Little Lycax Advent, not last year, the year before, so 2022. And as I used them, I wound them, because I'd split each mini. So as I had leftovers, I wound them into two separate magic knot balls, with a view to doing something with them in the future. So these may not go into the blanket. These may end up as socks or mittens or something else. Although they're not spot on even. So that may be why I didn't make socks with them. But and this one is just a variety of, they were Patreon minis from someone that I was a Patreon for, who then stopped their Patreon. So I'd started making a blanket and only had 7 of the 12 that I was expecting, so I couldn't finish the blanket. So I pulled it down and wound it into giant magic knot ball with a view to it going into this blanket. But again, this is no longer a blanket. So I don't really know why I'm just showing you a bag full of random balls, but they are all yarns dyed by friends, and so they will at some point be a blanket. I think I know what I'm going to do with them. I think it's going to be another bits and blobs. Bits and bobs blanket, which I've got one to show you in a minute, but the other one isn't scrappy. But I think this would be quite nice scrappy, but I might take these two of Amanda's out and make something else with them. See, I've got some, these are Denise's. That was, I think, Easter pastels or spring pastels. That one was daffodil. This one, Caroline and Andrew at the Area Bark dyed that. That's another one of Amanda's. That's Amanda's. One of those browns is Amanda's. Might be that one. Anyway, doesn't matter. You are just watching me now, looking at all my rediscovered treasures rather than actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing and showing you blankets. Okay. At the moment, most of my blankets are in big crinkly bags for life. I'm sorry about the light. I think there's a cloud going backwards and forwards. In this one, oh gosh, I know what's in there. I'd forgotten about that one. I'll show you that one in a second. This is a corner to corner that I started making. And again, I got bored. But this one's got quite big squares. But I think it kind of got out of control. I was trying to do, you can see on this is the first row, light, dark, and then it all ended up being kind of dark, dark, dark. So I wasn't terribly happy with how it was coming out. And again, it's another one that I think to myself, I think I'm going to frog that. I could use that for something else. And then I look at it and I go, oh, but I really like it. I'm not overjoyed with the way the colours are arranged at the moment. But by the same token, I don't really want to pull it down. So I might just have to continue with it and try and balance this dark section out on the following row. It would be a shame to leave it just sat in a bag. I'll have to work out how much yarn I use for each square, because what I'm doing with my scraps is I've got a few scrappy blankets, this being one of them. And what I do is when I have scraps, I weigh them and then I assign them to a blanket. But this one, I can't remember, it might have been about 8 grams, but it might have been more. So what I'll have to do is weigh a scrap, do a square, and then weigh it again and see how much I used, because I would like to get back to that one next year. Okay, let me show you. Let me show you what I found that I'd managed to kind of wipe from my memory. Ginny, if you're watching, close your eyes for a minute. This is the one you can't look at. This, oh gosh, there's loads of it. I didn't realise. Oh, look. There's my earphones. They're my iPod earphones. I've been looking for them. My iPod, slight tangent here. My iPod is 1,000,000 years old. Peter bought it for me on eBay, second hand. Look at this bit of hair. When he was 14, 15. And he fixed it. It wasn't working. He fixed it and got it working. And I still use it. And Peter will be 33 next year. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Right, this, I hope you closed your eyes, Jenny, because it's coming. This is the Triangulum. That I fell out of love with doing. It's by Ellie Jones of Craft House Magic. And there are various ways that you can make it. You can do it in strips, which is what I should have done. Or what I've chosen to do is I started in the centre with an octagon, hexagon, and I've been working out. And what I've been doing, let me find the centre, because some of you are new and will not have seen this before. This is my centre. And what I've been doing is choosing at least 2, more often 3, and sometimes more colours that go together, and then putting them in on opposite sides. So you've got the 2 blue, then there's the 2 pink, the 2 creams and caramels, and so on as I've gone round the blanket, getting bigger and bigger. And I got fed up. I've been doing it on DPNs, and I was doing it when I had COVID. Not last year. Was it the year before? Was it the year before that? Anyway. I was doing it when I had COVID, and it was really hard work with the COVID and the DPNs, and it's quite big now. And although I was in bed, it was the middle of the summer and I was too hot and the blanket was too hot, and I put it into hibernation. So this isn't actually even counted as one of my whips at the moment. I'd forgotten it was in there. Perhaps this is a sign from the knitting gods that I need to get back to it. So maybe I will next year. I mean, it's almost, if I hold it up, it's that long. So really what I could do now is start squaring it off, and it's lap blanket size, isn't it? So that would do, I think. Although it's highly likely that I'll start knitting it, fall back in love with it, and then just want to knit this and nothing else for ages. So How many actual blankets have we seen so far? 2, a bag of random balls, and one that I'd forgotten. So that's 3 technically, isn't it? Let's just tuck that back in there, and I will deal with it when you don't have to listen to the crinkle. I'm really sorry about the light. I should have done this earlier, but I was out. So that's not actually, or is it? I was going to say it's not actually one of the 11 blankets that I'm counting at the moment, but maybe it is. Let me look. No. No, it's not on my list. And I'm not putting it back on the list till next year. Next year will be the year of blankets. Okay, moving on. This is one that I really enjoy knitting on, and I haven't knit on it for ages. This is just, I'm calling it Cozy Memories, but I'm not actually following the Cozy Memories pattern. Sorry, you could look again now, Ginny. The naughty triangulum is gone, though I don't know whether this might make your eyes funny as well. This is still quite small. I'm holding fingering for. I did go to the pub at lunchtime, but I swear I only had a Diet Pepsi and some lunch. I'm holding fingering weight double for this, and I haven't knit on it for ages. I was using the leftovers from other projects and from another blanket that I'm crocheting squares for, which I'll show you in a minute. But this kind of stalled because there are 2 other blankets that I have been trying to keep up to date with and have fallen way behind, and the crochet one, which I am again behind with, but through no fault of my own this time. So this one I am definitely going to carry on with. I have quite a few scraps put away for this. This is the one that takes, I think, I was going to say it's 8 grams, but now I'm not sure whether it might be 12. Anyway, I have this half. I have to be careful which side of this bag because there's a sweary. This is all scraps to go in. There's a sweary badge on the other side. I can't show you that. And this is all scraps also. So I've got plenty to get on with all of these scrap blankets, really. And that's what I intend to do next year. Even if all I do is work my way through scraps and make a giant magic knot ball, or several, to do a granny stripe blanket the following, excuse me, the following year, because I would like to. Blankets are taking up an awful lot of room in here, as I'm sure you can tell. I mean, this on its own is humongous. So to get some of them cleared would be good. Right. In here, I think are just the, yeah. So in here are the scraps of the ones that I've used in that blanket already, put in here to go into the fake Battenburg. That's that one. Right. This is the last of the scrap blankets. And there's not very much of this to show you either. This is my sock scraps blanket. And prepare to be underwhelmed. There's this much. It was originally Tunisian crochet, and I had one full length strip and another kind of half length strip done, and then I left it for ages and came back to it, and my tension had changed and it just looked awful. So I was going to do, what's it called, jelly roll. I was going to do a jelly roll blanket, but I don't know, I just wasn't enjoying that. And at the time I was obsessed with corner to corner crochet. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll do it like a jelly roll blanket, but I'll do it in strips, because then the self-striping sock yarn can show itself off in the strip, and it seems to be working. But I did, well, this much the year before last, and that was as far as it got. So I just haven't had time to work on scrappy blankets because I've overwhelmed myself with other things. This bag is purely sock scraps, because my purpose for this blanket was that it would be sock scraps, because most of them are self-striping or patterned in some way, and I thought that would look really nice in the panels. So how many does that make? 1, 2, 3, 4, and one that's in hibernation. Okay, this one is not scrappy. This is, and I really, really enjoy knitting it. I'm sad I haven't seen it for so long. This is Bits and Bobs. Actually, let me leave it folded in half, by Kay Jones. And I'm knitting it as a rainbow. So I've got this much so far. I'm holding an undyed with a colour, and I started with pink, obviously. But what I'm trying to do is not go with a solid colour. So this was a variegated pink. What you can see the stripes aren't solid. And then I've done the same with a purple. I think the purple was Iris. It is the loveliest, squashiest, cosy blanket. It looks a bit like brioche, but it's not. It's like a fake fisherman's rib. And let me show you the colours. So this is the purple that's going into it, which is one of mine. That's Iris. It's really blowing out. The camera's struggling a bit, isn't it? I wonder if I... Is that better? Maybe. The sun will come back out from behind the cloud in a minute, and then we won't be able to see anything at all. So after the purple, there's this blue that I dyed up specially. So I'm trying to transition. See, the sun's back out and now we're all blown out again. Trying to transition from one to the other. Then there is this green, again specially dyed, which will obviously, with the undyed held with it, it will tone it all down a little bit. Then after that, is it that one? No. After that is this one, which is from Amanda at Little Lycac, and it was part of Thumbelina, I think. Yes, Thumbelina sock set from a couple of years ago. Right, hang on, let me... Then there's this one, which is, again, one of mine that I dyed up for the blanket. And then finally, should be red, but I'm going with this, which is a lot a lot darker than it's showing there, and it's kind of reds and violets, I suppose, pinks, and so this will be the progression through the blanket. And I haven't knit on it for I don't know how long, a very long time, and I want to get it finished because I really enjoyed knitting on it. I think you can probably see the weight of it, how lovely and squashy it is, because really that's got 300 grams of yarn in it pretty much already. It's going to be heavy. Sorry if you can hear next door's dog, he's doing his "it's time for my dinner" song. And I just think it will be very cosy. Okay, I've forgotten how many we got to. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5. Okay, these are the blankets that I've been trying to keep up with and have fallen behind. These I'm knitting. What's going on here? There we go. With the Birthstone colourways, the Mousewitch Yarn Birthstone colourways for this year. So we started with Garnet, Amethyst, Aquamarine. This is Black Diamond. It's a bit of a cheat. Emerald, Pearl, and this is Ruby for July. And as you can see, I've only got that much there. The pattern is, it's called My Favourite Blanket by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. Again, 2 in a row. She does make a good blanket though, and I think this is probably going to be for Dave. That's the width, and I'm working up the length now. Again, it's quite enjoyable to knit. The rows are quite long, but they're not ridiculously long because you're going diagonally up the blanket. So it's not like the Stephen West one that I finished earlier in the year that was circular and had about 1 million stitches. And this one I'm doing with the tonal yarns from the Birthstone collection. I've got as far as putting in July. I've got August, September, October, and I've just dyed up November and December as well. So I've got the full set now. I just need to knit it. And this one again is Birthstone yarns, but this one is the variegated versions, and I'm just making a giant mitered square blanket. The common theme running through all these blankets is there's no sewing up. I have no patience for sewing up. In 2020 I decided to make a temperature blanket, and I designed it myself, and I knit it in 12 squares that started from a pinhole cast on and worked outwards, and then the next month and the next month, and then I had to join them together. And I tried sewing them together, but it was too tight, and I tried crocheting them together, which was better, but the squares kind of sag in between the crochet, and so I don't use it, and it's a real shame because it's really pretty turquoises and pinks, but the finished object is not what I wanted, so I tend not to use it, which is a real shame. So since then I've only worked on blankets that don't require sewing up, and this one, there's no pattern for it. I'm doing it to my own specifications. And this one I've got as far as putting in half of August, so I'm a little bit further ahead with this one, but it will be 3 squares wide, 4 squares long, and I think that again will be a nice, it's quite heavy because it's mitered square using the fingering weight held double, as is the other one. I should have said they're technically DK blankets, but I'm using fingering weight held double with these two. Okay, I think that's all of those. Right, Advent blankets that I'd hoped to get finished before Advent starts this year, and I'm not sure I'm going to make it because it's almost the end of October. I think I may have failed there. This is another mitered square blanket. I'm quite into mitered squares at the moment, and I really rather wish that the fake Battenburg I'd done as tiny mitered squares, but I didn't. So that might be a future project. This is using the Mousewitch Yarn Advent from last year, and it starts here. So this is the bottom of the blanket, and I'm obviously using a coloured square with an undyed square in between. Oh look, if I just lean back a bit, I can get it all in. And the ball has just fallen off and gone down there. Let me see, I've got a little diagram. I made this little diagram. So I'm on this square at the moment. So I'm well over halfway. I've just got this bit left to do. I really don't think I'm going to get it done by the 1st of December, especially as there's another one sitting behind me there that I'm going to show you now. That's also an Advent blanket from last year. So my Advents for this year, there is one of them that I'm planning to make another This is an anthology throw by Helen Stewart, and unless her knit vent pattern this year throws up something that I would like to do better, I'm going to make another one of those with one of my Advents. But I'm trying not to just make blankets out of the Advents. But we'll talk about that nearer the time. I just don't think I'm going to get this one finished, and I know I'm not going to get the other one finished because I have got further to go with the other one. I'll have to rescue that ball in a minute. It's gone under my chair. We're nearly there. This again, left over from last year, and again another Kay Jones pattern. Like I said, she does make a nice blanket. This is Quadrophenia, and I've got myself into a bit of a pickle. What is going on here? Oh, that's not attached. Oh, I'm further ahead than I thought. I've got two triangles. This is knit in triangles, which you then seam together, unfortunately. Never mind. So this is the second triangle, I think. This is the first. So I am actually halfway. I didn't think I was. So this is going to make a reasonable sized lap blanket. This will be the edge. So you can see it will be that square. That's why they were folded up together, because they're both finished. Oh, that's made me happy. But I still don't think I'm going to get it finished. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. This is not good news, look. That doesn't look quite right, does it? They're supposed to be the same size. Might have to rethink this. And I've sewn all the ends in. Oh wait, oh I don't know. Are they the same? I don't think they are, you know, because this one looks shorter and narrower. I was all happy there for a minute thinking I'd half finished it, and now I think it may not be quite right. I'll worry about that after I've spoken to you. That might end up being something different now. Oh dear. Okay, that only leaves me one to show you. And it's not actually put together yet. Let me just... There's going to be some crinkle, okay? If you've got headphones in, I'll give you fair warning. This, you've been seeing every month as I go along, is my Mousewitch Yarn and Yarn Unique Crocheted Squares blanket, or at least it will be. My plan is I've just received August and September's mystery minis from Yarn Unique, so I've got those to crochet up. October's when it comes. The Mousewitch Yarn ones I am up to date with. I've got October's behind the camera there, which I'm going to show you next week. So there's this bag, and I'm not going to get it out, but there's another box with 60 squares in. So by the end of the year I should have 120 squares, and I'm going to lay them out in hopefully light dark order, and then crochet them together in January. And in January my plan is to join 5 squares a day, and by the end of the month I will have a whole completed blanket. That's the plan, because I've got to join them together. I worked out if I did 5 a day, that would give me a few days to do the border, and come the end of January, complete blanket. We'll see. So I've got, oh, I'm going to have to do maths now. I've got 60 there. That was half the year. And then I've got July. So that's 10. I can't work it out because I'm behind with the Yarn Unique ones. I can't work it out. I should have 10, 20, 30, 40 made up by the end of this month. And then November and December will be 50 and 60 because there's 5 of each month. Yeah. So I really am nearly there, but obviously I can only do this as the mini clubs come. So I'll put that there for a minute. So that's, yeah, that's rather dependent on that. That's all of them. And there aren't as many as I thought. I feel like I've got more listed than I've actually shown you. And I'm wondering if I've missed any, but I don't think I have. So, you requested to see my blankets. You have seen my blankets. I hope you weren't disappointed. Probably. I felt with my last podcast that people were a little bit irritated by my inability to remember anything. And if that is the case, I do apologise. I've just remembered actually, this is my breezeway that I knit in She was the lonely knitter when I got these minis. It was a Firefly mini set. I'm trying to remember. She's called something else now. You're probably all yelling what she's called now, but I can't remember. Having just apologised for not being able to remember things I can't remember. Sorry. Anyway, that's it for your bonus episode. I will see you all again on Wednesday with some proper knitting. And, spoiler alert, I've finished some stuff. There is space in my queue list thing. Right. I'm going to have to clear up this horrible mess I've made now. I'm going to have to rescue that ball that's rolled under my chair. And it's a rocking chair. This is my problem. It rolls under and then I try to get it. And as I lean forward to get it, I rock it forwards and trap it. Never mind. First world problems. Anyway, I'm going to go. I think the sun's gone in now. Yeah, it's gone behind the house at the bottom of the garden. I'm going to go. Oh, look. See, if I'd just waited, I could have done it all in this light and you'd have been able to see everything properly, wouldn't you? But that's just me. I have no patience. Right, definitely going now. Sorry for keep saying I'm going and then not going. That's another irritating thing I do. I apologise. I will see you Wednesday. Bye, guys.